Hi, Easton. I'm Christine Ullman, and I am the Youth Services Librarian at the Easton Public Library. And I'm coming to you today from the Lower Easton branch, which is also known as my house. And today's our first episode of Easton Book Chat. And we're so happy to welcome our first ever guest on Easton Book Chat, our very own first Selectman, Dave Bindelglass.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being here. Don't mind the background. I'm actually sitting in my office in Town Hall. So I'd rather be where the picture is, but we'll have to deal with that.
It does look lovely there.
So we're holding it together in Easton. I think folks are doing a phenomenal job of social distancing and following the rules. Before we started, I was actually working on my next post, which notes the fact that a lot of towns seem to be struggling with getting their residents to follow the rules. And from walking around yesterday when it was beautiful out, I think we're really doing a good job. And I'm really proud of our people for keeping it up. I know it's not easy.
Yeah, I think it's really, we're doing a great job together. I agree. Everyone is pulling together and really doing our very best to keep everyone safe.
Agreed.
And thank you for your letters that come out to the town.
You're very welcome. I hope we can keep everybody informed and up to date.
Yes, thank you so much. So today we're going to talk about a book that you said that was one of your favorites, which is The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell.
So I enjoy a number of his books.
Yeah.
I'm sort of a closet nerd when it comes to things like social sciences and psychology. So I find his work to be very interesting. And this one in particular was very thought-provoking for me. Obviously, it's a nonfiction book. But he's most of the book is really about opportunity. And it starts with a very interesting observation. He is watching a hockey game. I think it was a Canadian juniors game. And he just happened to be looking at the roster and he's flipping through. And he notes that almost all of the players are born in the first couple months of the year. And he goes on to do some research about this. Why would the only hockey players who succeed be kids who are born in January and February? And he starts to look into this. And the bottom line is that when they're little, they're always the oldest kids in their class. So they're always a little bit more developed than the other kids. They're a little further ahead, physically and mentally. Mm-hmm. And then once that happens, they start to get more attention from coaches because they're the best kids on the team. And this advantage actually persists all the way to professional hockey. So even at the highest levels, there's a preponderance of people who were born early in the year because this whole process started and persists. And so he goes from there to look at how success can be determined by opportunity, which is kind of a cool thought and sometimes flies in the face of things that we would like to think, which is that all of our successes are due to our own intellect and our own talents and our own hard work. And he makes the point that sometimes that's just not true. Mm-hmm. Couple interesting examples he gives. One is Bill Gates. And for all his brilliance and intelligence in working with computers, it just so happens that Bill Gates' mother, when he was a young teenager, was a nighttime custodian in a building that housed a whole bunch of computers in the very basic language. None of our kids know what the language BASIC was, but that's actually how I learned to use computers back when the machine talked to you through a teletype and could do only very rudimentary stuff. But Bill Gates spent hours and hours and hours, often in the middle of the night while his mom was servicing the building, playing with computers. And had he not had that opportunity, as smart as he obviously is, would he have been able to do this?
Yeah, that's an amazing story. And maybe would he have even been as interested in computers as he later became. Maybe that sort of planted the little seed in him of the interest in that. Yeah, that's amazing.
Exactly. Who knows? You know, and Gladwell goes on to talk about the 1,000-hour rule, which is basically that to become proficient at anything, you need 1,000 hours worth of practice to really be good.
Hmm.
And you know, there's another great example that I love, just because I happen to be a fan. He talks about the Beatles, and the Beatles spent a bunch of their formative years sort of tooling around Germany, often in situations where they had to play. You know, they played in bars and they played 6, 8, 10 hours a night. You know, just the way the social structure was, they would play from 8 o'clock at night to 4 o'clock in the morning and do this 6 nights a week. And again, not really a coincidence that they developed such incredible skill and chemistry, for that matter, because of that. And he's
That's
got multiple examples, but yeah, I'm sorry.
No, that's an amazing example. And I think that Gladwell is kind of known for that, like really coming up with a theory and then delving deep into it and really being able to pull up so much amazing information.
And sometimes it's stuff that's counterintuitive, because he takes the time to look into why things are the way they are. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's why I enjoy his stuff. The newest book that I just finished recently is called Talking to Strangers,
Mhm.
and it studies things like how we judge people, and that's fascinating too. Little anecdote about judges deciding on who to release on bail when they come for their pretrial hearings. And the theory's always been, well, you can take the measure of a man and you can look him in the eye, and basically a computer that looks not at the person at all, but just a few basic statistics, is a much better predictor of who's going to go out and commit another crime than the judges are.
Wow.
So just little things like that, but that's another one of his points. But the thing about outliers is, I'm still really struck by the ability that success is so influenced by opportunity, and that has tremendous implications for how we view the world, how we set policy. It's for sure an uncomfortable thought for many,
Mm.
but I kind of you know enjoy ruminating on it, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, it's fascinating. What other kind of books do you like to read?
So I do read some nonfiction too.
Hmm.
Um, Actually, if you remember, I gave you two examples that are a lot of fun for me. One is sort of a suspense espionage writer, and he's written 35 or 40 books and one screenplay. Um, his books are crazy, wild things happen, wild crimes, sort of superhuman people that solve them. But the most fun thing for me is he's a childhood friend. And he's actually been in Easton. There was a, a time when we used to have mystery writers guilds at the library. And so he actually came to speak a number of years ago.
Tell me his name.
John Land,
Yeah,
Land.
he's written a lot of great books.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting reading the book of somebody that you know very well,
Yeah.
because you can really be inside their head as you're reading the book, which is kind of an interesting phenomenon. But I would enjoy his books even if I'd never met him. So
Yeah. Yeah, those are fantastic. Well, I just wanted to let everyone know that the Outliers here, um, while the library is still closed, we do have it on Simply E, which is a digital resource. So if you go to the Easton Public Library webpage and you go to digital resources and Simply E, they have The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. So thank you so much to Dave Bindelglass. Thank you for coming. And thanks to the Easton Library for coming to view our first episode of Easton Library Book Chat. And stay well, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and I enjoyed this greatly. Would be happy to do it again. And also, I appreciate all the great work that the library is doing in obviously not so easy circumstances, but finding a way to make resources available to the people of Easton, which I think is wonderful.
Thank you so much.
All right. You have a good day.
Thank you, Dave.